Cotman, Crawford, and the Jersey Guy podcast.
Hey, everybody. Kenny Cotman.
Lewis Crawford.
And I'm Tom Ramage, the Jersey Guy.
Yo, good evening, gentlemen. How's everybody today?
Good. How are you?
Excellent. Not too shabby. Not too shabby.
That's
Gonna
good.
be good. Yeah. Being good, being good.
Doing good here.
Yeah. Decent week.
Yeah.
Working too hard. Not
It's good
too
because
shabby.
we're doing another podcast, so that's always good.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we just big news. We had an earthquake.
Earthquake today.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Fault runs all the way from I forget to New York City.
I didn't even feel it.
So
Yeah, I know. I didn't even feel it either. It was
Yeah.
like what? Thought it was
Yeah.
a truck driving by. Like I didn't feel it, just heard what supposed
Right.
to be was. But you know.
That's what a lot of people were saying.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then,
Right,
so
yep.
let me introduce Ben from GHUC, Grant House Unity Corp. He's also someone who's has classes that he helps people with real estate on how to get a home. And I'm sure there's plenty of avenues that he's going to go through with us to let us know how they can go do that. So, Ben, welcome to the show
Yes.
again, sir. And
How are you, Ben?
how you doing?
What's going on?
Things are good. Things are good. I want to thank the team. You know, together we all achieve more. A lot of effort goes into the podcast and really, building up a network. So whatever we can enhance and bring information to the people, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I appreciate
That's
it.
good.
We appreciate it. Thank you much. Excellent. So how's everything else? How's your week going, Ben?
It's a very active week, and believe it, we learn. Although we've been around for 50 years in the business, we learn every day. But we're going morning to night. But especially when you're dealing in real estate and you're dealing in mortgages.
Yep.
A lot of people feel a lot of pressure when they're buying a home and they're getting a mortgage, and what they have to go through.
Right. All right.
Yeah, so no, I look forward to hearing what Ben has to say regarding that. So he was mentioning to me earlier something, foreclosure auctions, REO auctions, down payments, real estate listings. He's going to go through all that stuff. And
Got it.
I'm going to guess you're going to probably wind up talking about people making sure they have good credit as well. And that's going to be a big factor to help them, right?
Oh, yeah. There's, what we call anyone out there that's looking to buy a home or that looking to become an agent in the real estate business or a loan officer. They're looking to work full-time, part-time, become certified as a processor or an underwriter. This affects all whom, that's involved. Looking for the American dream, buying a home, and then making an investment. But the law of mortgageability is what we call CIA. And it's not the Secret Service, but it stands for C for credit. And just because you have an 800 credit score, sometimes you may only have one card, one credit card. So underwriters, we want people to know more about credit because we don't get all the information and experience out there. So C is credit. Typically, an underwriter is looking to see 4 trade lines: when the accounts were open, what we call high credit, and what the balance is, and how the payments are going in the history. So 4 typical trade lines, credit cards. And in lieu of someone comes and says, I only got one credit card. Well, you may not fit under the conventional loan. And then we may have to see and seek an FHA loan. And then we look through the certification, the guidelines, the regulations, and we say, hey, a doctor's letter can do it. A furniture loan, an insurance company. Did you pay your insurance on time?
yeah,
So this is some really, really solid and good information just on the credit alone. And then people sometimes they have a lower score because they use so much of the credit cards. And that's what we're going to do with this podcast. Where I'm tending to join the team, I'm so honored with Lewis and and the team, is that this podcast is going to go on every week. And, we want people to tune in. So if anyone has an iPad, a recording device, or a notebook, we're a little old school, so I have the notebook because sometimes the fingers are too big to get on the phone to type everything in. And then we move to the I, and the I is the income. And we want the listeners and the followers and the supporters to understand, as far as income, you may want to ask, well, what are the ratios and how does income work? Excuse me, because the underwriters and the bank wants to make sure you fit into what we call typical front end and back end ratios. Ratios are extremely important to understand. There's a front end and a back end. The front end is going to mean I have no debt. I don't have a car loan. I don't have credit card payments. I don't have a student loan and other loans. So that's the front end. And then the back end ratio usually could go to 36%. And you know what? People aren't going to understand everything unless we do a Q&A, questions and answers, and we answer more. So right now, we just want to outline things. C for credit, I is your income. There are ratios. At another one of our podcasts, we'll really get more technical. And then A is the assets. And believe it or not, guys, that if someone said, you know what, I don't have much down payment, but I may get some money, or I'm saving the money. Under the FHA, which is throughout the United States of America, all you need is $500 of your own money, and the rest could be borrowed. So I want to start with that, bounce it back to you.
That's interesting.
The war of mortgageability is C for credit, I for income, and A for assets.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
The FHA loans. I know that's an interesting thing because I actually went through that myself. We got an FHA loan when we first got our house.
Right.
Because we couldn't get a traditional loan. We just weren't financially right there yet. But I know the thing is that the insurance, right? You have to have the insurance now for the life. I remember that was a big thing when this is back in 2014. They were said that was like a new thing that you had to get for the life of the loan. Now you have to have the insurance, though, right?
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. You're right on target with that, because what happened in the days in the 1970s when I was growing up in this business, you would be paying about 0.1% for insurance. Let's back up and let's tell the people that the FHA is the Federal Housing Administration. It's where the government is involved in the loan, but they don't lend you the money. The banks lend you the money, but the government insures up to 20%. So to insure that 20%, to make it a lower risk for the bank, they charged 0.1%. But when you reach the 20% equity, you could eliminate it. So people 2 years later were saying, my house went up, I put more money down, I got the equity, I don't want to pay this extra $50, $100. Now it's an extra $200, $300, $400 with the amounts alone. But now, today, you're paying about 0.8% of the loan. So if you think you hear 6 and an 8, you know what? Even under an FHA, you need 7%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I remember with that that insurance that you got to pay for the loan, as I was saying, we ended up, just after like a certain amount of years, we just used the equity and the value increase to get another loan after that.
Well, people
To get
sometimes the way the banking system is set up is that according to statistics, registry, and a database, the average family in America moves 7 to 8 times in a lifetime. So let's say you're making a $1,000 P&I, stands for principal and interest. Okay. You're making a payment for $1,000. That's $12,000 for the year. $96,000. Well, what's that times 12? 1 second. 12,000 times 12, 10 years is 120,000, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's say you borrowed, 250,000. In 10 years, you gave them $120,000. You're still going to owe them about 235, 240
Yeah,
grand.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
Right.
So everything is what we could do in this podcast is teach people economics and bring a special value, because it takes time that you have to spend a lot of time with people. And one thing I heard about is that we want to put the time in to bring a different type of education. It's a little different than a university academy, but the time we put in is what we can get out, how we can help people make that American dream come true.
Yeah.
Nice, excellent. So I got a question. Now you said so only with the FHA loans that you can use, like you said, the doctor's note or doctor's bills and stuff like that. Can you use your school loans like as a credit because you've been making your payments on time and such?
Well, hopefully, you didn't put, a hold on the student loan, but we have to document that we're a direct FHA lender.
Right.
So we have to document finding the alternative credit. So yes, if it's a student loan and it was paid on time, a lot of times the parents co-sign.
Mhm.
But you look for a doctor's note, has all the co-pays been paid, or how would they been as a reference, a furniture loan, and things like that. We build up alternative sources to build up and solidify the credit part of the underwriting for an FHA loan.
Okay.
So yeah, I was just saying you were talking about the different types of loans, right?
Mhm. Right.
So what are the other types? Because I remember we started talking about FHA.
Then there's what they call the buy, fix, and flip.
Yeah.
Then there's a Fannie Mae conventional loan, and there's a veteran loan. We just did a VA loan in Florida. We just closed the deal. It was a former state employee,
All right.
really high pension. He's retired at a young age, 50 years old. He retired, good pension. He was disabled. He got Social Security, and he served in the armed forces. So for everyone that's listening right now, that's in the armed forces, you want to seek and look for your DD 214. That's called a certificate of eligibility.
Right.
And that means you're eligible for a VA loan with zero down payment, even zero closing costs. But this loan, I did a $630,000 loan for a vet in Florida, and I found him the home. And we were so grateful and thankful that we were able to provide him with all the financing he needed.
Okay, awesome. Now, so then you guys can work through any state. So like you said, you just got this gentleman help him get a house in Florida, even though and are you only certified here, or are you like kind of certified anywhere with FHA?
Actually, with the licenses for FHA and VA, we're in 44 states.
Sweet.
And then VA, we're in 50 states. And I'm in 50 states with other types of loan, especially the buy, fix, and flip loan. We're in all 50 states.
Okay, next question. Sorry, unless you guys got one. No? Okay. So
Absolutely.
with the veteran loan, is it only veterans, or is it those that are still serving?
No, it's usually not for those serving, although that is possible, because if you're just serving, your income's most likely going to be limited unless you've been a long time serving, you're 20 years in, and
Or
You're a
like an officer or
high-ranking
something. Yeah.
official with the money.
Right.
But veterans is you put your time in, you came out with an honorable discharge. You have what they call the form, the DD 214, which stands for Certificate of Eligibility, and that'll qualify you. But we're going to look at your job, we're going to look at your income, because look, the bank is going to give you the money, the government's going to show the loan, but everyone wants to make sure that you could pay the loan off.
Got it. Now, with still with the veterans, because that's one of my favorite things to always listen.
Right.
I said the veterans. I just like hearing more about the veteran stuff. I like to make sure that everybody know that this way they'll be okay. When the veterans buy a house and they use, like, say, the first time veterans loan, kind of like the first time home buyers, I'm sorry, can they use their certificate of several times, or is it only like a one time deal?
No, it's a one-time deal, but it works this way. And that's a really good question. It works that you're a veteran, you bought a home, you want to upgrade, you want to downgrade, you sell, that loan gets paid off, and you get another one. It's only one at a time.
Okay, got it. So that then now, if they do good on that first time that they loan, do they, because they're veterans, get a discount, I guess you say, or break, or on the what's it called, the interest rates they say if they're going to buy a second house?
There are ways that when you study loans, what you work with the loan, you work with us, that you could buy down a little bit, you could cut a little bit corners. I mean, unless you know the completion. I mean, today it's it's a complex world. It's complex banking because in 2008 they called it the Dodd-Frank Act because of the predatory lending. I don't know if you guys remember.
That was
2005, 2006, thousands and thousands of banks went out of business.
Right.
And Dodd-Frank Act came out. It was called a loan. I was very involved, like, in the business, so I remember what they called the MTA loan and the MAT loan.
Okay.
And that stood for the monthly treasury average, or the monthly average of the treasury. This has to do with treasury bonds, notes, 1-year terms, 30-year terms, and where you put your money in. And
they,
they came out with a program. Listen to this. It started you at 1%. It was like a bait and switch loan.
Oh.
And you started at 1%, and within 2 years you were up to 11%.
No way.
Yeah.
In other words, they were giving you $500,000. The loan would be interest only, and you started at 1%, and 2 years later you couldn't afford your home because you had $500,000, and your payment was going from, let me figure that out, 1%. Your payment was going on $500,000 from $2,500 to $7,500.
Holy!
Yeah,
That
I know.
crazy.
I know people that were very close.
So let me tell you, I was involved.
That scam. So
That's
I was
crazy.
involved in when the chaos in America. So we're giving people information that you might have been in it and you might know about it. So I got to talk to people about that. But the people listen. It's good for them to listen, to understand all the trends in the marketplace. Now there's an election year, so we talk about rates. Where are rates going, Ben?
Right.
Where are they going? Well, the rates are coming down. And I got to tell you, for all the decades, every time they told me it was going down, it went up.
Yeah.
And every time it was going up, it went down. But right now, we know it's an election year. Everybody's saying it's holding. But the rate went up. The rate went up,
Wow. Yeah. Wow. So does that generally happen during
what does
election
that
years?
mean?
Yeah, it's just like during election years, they go up, and then after the first term?
Usually, the party that's in, they don't want to go up. You know what that would do for election time.
Okay.
It really wouldn't be favor. Right now, I got a feeling myself they're going to make a move, politically make a move, and rates are going to drop at the time when it comes close to election. But, that's only a prediction, and we don't want people to go by that. Now, right now, there's nothing like now. We live in the now.
Right.
Now is the only moment of time we have control of. If you're worried about a 0.5%, Louis, with our economics and what we're going to bring on this podcast, even if you're paying a 0.5% higher, if you use your tax rebate, what's going to come back on your returns, your benefits, your deductions, and you put it back into the loan for hardly anything, you could drop your rate.
So
and
cool.
what we're going to tell people on our podcast is, with a regular payment, one extra payment a year, we're going to drop 8 years on a 30-year loan, and we're going to drop 3-4 years to 11 years on a 15-year loan.
Okay, that works.
Yeah, man.
I get that. That's it's wild. It's just crazy because how the interest rates just, they change. Now, when you get a fixed rate, though, on your home with the interest rate and such, on your loan as a whole, there's nothing that can change that, right? I know it says fixed rate and it's supposed to stay, but there's nothing that can.
You know what changes that? Taxes go up, your escrow goes up. Insurance goes up, your escrow.
Right. But the actual rate stays the same.
Loan,
is fixed. Your P&I is fixed.
The only thing that can change, like you said, is like the taxes, the escrow and stuff.
Okay,
however,
cool.
Right.
However, we got a new program, first time on the market. They call it a rebate. I don't know if you guys heard of this, but I just got news on a program. I just did a loan for my son who just bought a home, and thank God we're the bank, and we put him under a new program that's called the rebate. If he drops, I don't want to give like all these numbers about, but it was a $500,000 loan. If you hit a lotto, you inherit money, you cash in your stocks, you sell another property, and that's what we're doing. We're selling another property, and we're going to drop $300,000 down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we don't go to another closing. We drop where you couldn't drop it. You could drop it, but your payment always stay the same. Under the rebate loan, we now take the same rate, and we drop the mortgage from $500 to $200, and we make the new payment on $200. Wow, what a terrific loan!
Yeah, that's cool. That is awesome. Man, that's a really good one.
Ben knows his shit, man.
Yeah. No, I'm saying with that, that rebate, that's awesome because that would help out so many of the people.
Right.
Now
it's so complicated. It's good to talk to someone like him because
that
to you and I it would be gibberish. We would have no idea what the hell is going on. But when he explains it to you, you get a clearer picture, a better understanding because he breaks it down, and you're like, okay. Sometimes you just need it to be done that way in order for you to, and then you be more comfortable too, right? I mean,
yeah, definitely.
That's the main thing. You're like, oh, all right, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's cool. I can do that.
Yeah.
Check this out.
Yeah, all right. So you got a question?
No, I'm good.
No. Okay, so now my next question. So now for lower income people, how do you help them out? Because they, that they're only going to get, let's just say, throwing out a number, they're under, let's say like they're $40,000 a year, but they've been paying whatever credit card, however low it is or whatever. They've been paying their things off. They have no issue with their credit. But because they're in such a low tax bracket, does that hurt them to be able to buy a home?
Or does it help?
Or does it help them?
What the situation is. Someone has they got a deli, they got a cash business, they got a candy store, they got any store. And then what happens is when they go to the account, they say, you know what, I don't want to pay all these taxes. You know how that affects people and hurts people? And people said it's a new business. And a lot of times, sometimes everybody's not thinking. It may even be the accountant, maybe the lawyers, maybe the mortgage people. And I'm not saying anything about it because so blessed to have people like that. But what happens is, you know what? You put a negative, and if you put a negative on your tax return, you're kind of finished. Nobody's going to want to look at you. You're finished. So, but the lower income people, let me tell you, 1973, 1974, 1975, the first 3 years I was in the business, okay, a city worker in New York City would come, a firefighter, a sanitation, a police officer, union worker would come to us, and the mother was taking care of the kids, and they would make it. And I remember the numbers, about $13,000 a year, and they wanted to buy a home for $75,000.
Wow.
The rate was up to 8.5%. You know, they didn't qualify for a loan,
No.
and it was considered low income. So now what we do is, you know, when people came to America, the dream was to buy a home. You know, we could even talk about World War II, rent stabilization, and all those things. But so what do? You got any brothers? You got any sisters? You got any aunts? You got any uncles? Mom, dad, grandma, grandpa? And when all the family didn't work, was there somebody else? And everybody always found a way. But here's another case scenario. I'm gonna throw something in there. People that they may be low income as far as showing income, but they want to buy, fix, and flip. And that's a no income check. If you got the down payment, we're not looking at tax returns. We're looking at experience. We're looking at your credit score. We're looking at experience, and we're looking at your assets. And then we're going to look at the rent roll will count as the income in the building. So, wow, that's some real good information on this podcast for people that want to flip.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Now, is it easier to buy a multifamily house, or like a building, or is it easier to buy a single family?
Well, you know, I like, you know, what we're talking about. The most advantageous programs are on a one family. However, a two family gives you more buying power. So you could take, what you do is you take the market rent. Let's say we are not even a lot, it's $2,000. $2,000 times 12 months is $24,000. Now the whole $24,000 doesn't get added to your income. There's a vacancy factor in underwriting, and that's 25%. So 75% of $24,000, you're almost counting another $20,000 income, which may be able to help you borrow an additional $100,000.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was almost like well, would it be considered kind of like a collateral?
It is. It's considered additional. It's considered rental income, and that's why people, whether they're putting a family member in there or they're buying it for an investment, and later on they're going to move out, rent the apartment that they are. But the idea, you know, that we want to do in our podcast is to really educate and bring a treasure to all the people that are following us on our network.
Right.
So we just want to keep, you know, guys, we just want to keep enhancing, you know, what we do with those questions going back. We want to get people involved and connect to you so we could do more.
Most definitely, yeah, and we appreciate that. That's the way. That's the idea. Pay it forward, brother. Yeah. Pay it forward. Your knowledge is gold, man.
Right, yeah. Since you've been doing it since 1972, you said?
Yeah. Right, yeah, that's what you said. Yeah.
So he said 1972 you started doing this?
Ben?
I can't hear you breaking up.
Oh, you said you started doing this in 1972?
I started actually in 72. I was in college, and I was thinking, I was looking for a position, and they were telling me, Ben, when you get a little older, come back. And then it's just a sweet story. 1 year later, I was in the business. 2 years later, the guy that told me to come back when I was a little older, I bought his real estate office.
That's great.
That's funny.
That is awesome, man. That is awesome.
Motivation, like you guys are very motivated, and you know, I know what it took to put the podcast and all the people in our network right now. You know, in addition, we could link up link in some of our Zooms, and then there's the free conference call.
that's
But
awesome.
whatever you can put together, and you want to stay consistent, whether it's once a week, once a month, once a quarter, whatever it is. I'm very happy to share.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Not only myself, but my team. I I have a couple of great people, as you know, Janice,
Right.
and we run a charity. We fed 2 million meals we're going on 3 million meals at this time. We used to be
That's great.
2 million, but the charity's called Grant House Unity Corporation, and we're located through the boroughs of New York City. Right now, one of our centers is in Brooklyn, New York, on Flatbush Avenue. I want to thank Louis for coming down.
Yep.
I'm very grateful and honored that he came in and donated to our cause. So a real estate deal, how I got into the pantry business is somebody came and I did a commercial deal for them, and they opened the food pantry, and they said, "Ben, can you help me out?" And lo and behold, we opened up our own pantry. We made a beautiful real estate deal, and we put the money into feeding the hungry.
There you go.
Nice.
It's awesome that you can do that.
You got a question?
No, go ahead.
So now, when you help people, well, not that you say you did. So when you did the pantry, because you guys are a nonprofit, right?
Yes, 501c3.
So now, is it just as hard or easier for you guys to be able to get those loans and such for whatever nonprofit charity work or what have you that you're going to end up doing? Like, is it harder to get the loans?
Because of the type of business it is?
It's like they're unrelated, because if anybody that's opened a pantry, you want to think about grants and sponsors and
Right.
charity loans. The real estate, because,
separate from
we
that,
were
right?
successful on real estate deals, we put, we wrote off some of our money into the pantry. So it was a write-off in what we did. But as far as loans, that's it. There's so much to know about. Now, we didn't touch yet on the foreclosures and deposits and
Right.
auctions, because right now we just sold a property that was what we call REO. So write it down, folks. What does REO stand for? And maybe that's where you're going to find your next house. REO stands for real estate owned. Those are bank-owned properties.
Oh, okay.
And one thing about bank-owned properties, they don't want to own them and take care of them and service them and be
Yeah,
responsible.
they want to get rid of them. Yeah, I
Come
know.
up with all the liabilities and maintain them and winterize them and insure them and pay the taxes. They want them off. Their portfolio.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a headache.
Yeah,
Right.
Banks don't want that. They don't want to deal with
Right.
that.
So that then now I know that they end up dropping the price on the real estate to get now. Are they trying to get back the taxes on the house, or are they just trying to get what is owed on the house when it went into foreclosure?
It almost doesn't matter what they can get. They take what they can get out of it. But if they want to drop for a quick deal, they'll not automatically, in many cases, they'll take off 25% of the deal. But if we just had one, there was a fire in it. Okay. We had another one, there was a flood. We had another one, the roof was caving in. Because if people are going to leave, they leave and no one is taking care of the home, and they think that's the end of it. So everyone listening again to this podcast, a foreclosure just don't go away like that, because, guys, what they're going to do, the bank is going to send the borrower a 1099 form, and they're going to send that to the IRS.
And with
So
your name.
if you walked away with $300,000 you owed the bank, you know what? You may be paying the debt for a long time ahead in your life.
Got it. Okay.
Maybe for the rest of your life. But right now, winners make the pace of the pack is the speed of the leaders. And that's why I'm very interested in this podcast. more information that we could bring to the people. We want to let people know that once we broadcast this, get on the next one. Let a friend know. We're not looking, to say, go to our site, here's some money. Look, there's job opportunities, there's career opportunities, there's full-time, part-time, and it takes very, very special people to do, what we do.
Yeah, well, there's a bunch of questions, a lot of things that about that would definitely be helpful, because I'm looking to definitely have you back on another podcast with literally
Sure,
on
absolutely.
this particular subject. Because I said I got a million questions. So now I'm going to go back to the next question for me. Is that so? Now you're saying that the houses that may have been foreclosed on, or like the one you said that you just had to deal with that had a fire in it. People with low income that are low income buyers, do they get and can they get the loan from that same bank that's putting it up for sale?
Get it, but if they're not pre-approved, so that is going to be a no.
Okay.
But the people with the no, even though it's a no, there's a lot of answers on the test we take. They're no and yes. It's no and it's yes. If you change to pre-qualify for the loan, then you could take the no, and you could qualify by adding a cosigner, fixing your ratios, or having all cash, then you don't have to worry, or leverage is you bring a partner on and they'll walk you through the deal.
Okay. Now, does that work the same for, let's say, if you have an LLC?
An LLC?
Yeah.
Yeah, limited liability company is an LLC. It's to eliminate liability, that they don't personally go after you, because under the United States of America and the law of corporation and LLCs, you cannot break the corporate veil. However, you're not buying a home for your primary residence under an LLC. It means like you have a business. And then you can, even though you have the low income, you could still qualify under those loans as an investment property with a higher down payment. So the answer is yes now, that you can qualify for an investment property with a higher down payment with a no income, as long as the rents are going to support what we're looking at here. So it's important that we start learning about numbers. So let me give you an example. You got a 2-family house. It's $1,500 rent. It's a 1-2 bedroom, whatever it is. And it's $1,500 for the 2 families. That means $3,000 coming in.
Right.
Taxes are $300. The insurance is $200. The pity, what we call pity, we'll address this at another time.
Yeah.
That's $500. So $2,500 is got to support the mortgage. So that means $2,500. Maybe you're going to get a loan for $300,000. But if you were looking for $500, the rents are not going to pay that $500 back, and that's a denial, a rejection.
Right.
It doesn't qualify. So look, learning the numbers and how to do it. People really, I got to tell you, I speak to people all day long. They're fine. I got a fellow in Long Island just bought a house for $680. He's dropping $140 now. So he's going under a certain program. There are new programs. Hold on one second, guys. You hear me?
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Yep.
I'm getting thumbs up.
Yep,
You want to
good.
say something to the podcast?
Hi, we were tempted to call in and do a mortgage question for you to hear what's going
What's the
on.
mortgage?
Well, there are certain times when you're looking to get a loan on a property and you have tenants. And you know how some tenants can be just like, no, not letting anybody in. So what we can do, we found out, and what we're going to do, if they still refuse after we get the approval,
Yeah.
we can have a forced inspection with a sheriff, which will take about 1 or 2 days to do, which means they have to let you in no matter what.
Huh.
So that is something new
Oh my
that
God.
I learned today.
Oh my God.
While
You're going all the way. You're really pressing buttons.
Wow.
Because the underwriter, look at the underwriter when she looked up. You thought you were the
so
underwriter.
we're staying overtime to actually try to close the deal.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
That is awesome.
So I gotta go back upstairs.
Thank you.
Finish the job. All right, guys.
Thank you for
Thank you.
sharing.
Thanks a lot.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Denise, that's Denise. She's such a wonderful person. Anyone can. She's the founder of one of the founders, her and I, of Grand House Unity, and she set up a contract with City Harvest, New York City Food Bank, Met Council, some of the farmers throughout the United States of America. We worked with FEMA. We worked with every Congress politician in our neighborhood because, the editorials are out, guys, and, we're just doing our best. We want to keep, the work we're doing. So every real estate deal we kind of do, we can contribute, to our charity.
Yeah, no, you guys are awesome, brother.
Yeah.
You guys do good work. And I mean, I said it to you last time we spoke to you, we appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome.
Sounds like a great class for people to do
I
that.
appreciate being on this podcast, and we want to build it up. We want to keep educating people because real estate, again, it's the American dream. It's the pride of home ownership.
Yeah.
It allows tax deductions. It has a lot of economics. I mean, people are working at a home right now, and there is the program that's called the 203K, Lewis, the 203K, and that's where you buy the home, the acquisition, you buy it. You buy it. I'm just using numbers for you, 250,000. But the house needed a lot of work, and then with the government and the bank, they bring a project manager in and say, "Okay, we're going to put another 75,000 in work."
This is like
What
a
do you
fixer-upper
do?
home.
Right.
203 is like a fixer-upper, basically.
That's a great program.
Yeah.
The 203K.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome. That's good to know for sure.
Awesome. Yeah. That makes sense. That's it. When you listen and hear somebody who knows what they're talking about,
Right, that's what I was saying
Ben,
earlier.
Like you said, it sounds better than when you sit at the bank and
Or try to sit down and figure it out yourself.
yeah, it's like you feel like you're overwhelmed, so it throws
Yeah.
you off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, no.
Yeah, you laid out very clearly. It's learned a lot today.
Ben, well, thank you so much for being on with us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have you back.
We'll
Yeah.
definitely
Like
have you
said,
back.
Maybe we'll, maybe just periodically. Like
We'll have
said,
you on to give us an update on what's going on.
or whatever. Like you
Yeah.
said, so.
Exactly.
Definitely. Yep. And give us your business name again so people can hear it.
00.com, and our direct lending company is called East Coast Capital Corp. And our charity is called Grand House Unity.
Awesome. Yeah. So this way people can reach out to you.
Yep.
And, if anybody has any more questions, feel free to call them up and get hopefully anything that we didn't ask. I didn't ask. Sorry. I kind of like dominated. My fault,
That's
guys.
all right. No problem.
No.
But appreciate you coming on here, Ben. Thank you guys. And say you're awesome. Don't hang up yet, Ben. We'll call you, get back to a second. We'll say bye to our listeners
We're
and
gonna
stuff.
say goodbye to our listeners, but stay on the line.
So don't hang up.
Stand by. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Yep. And guys, gentlemen, another awesome episode.
Yep.
It was fantabulous because
Thank you.
we're just freaking awesome. But whatever.
Appreciate it.
So thank you to our listeners, and you already heard. So thank you. Have a good week. Love, peace, and hair grease.
Live long and prosper.
And go vegan.
Holla.